All right, everybody, welcome back to Operation Moksha. As always, I'm your host, Chris Orozco, and today we're going to be talking about where to start with shadow integration, because this is probably the question I get the most. There's a lot of information telling you to integrate your shadow and do your shadow work, but there's not a whole hell of a lot of information out there about how to actually do that. So I'm going to dispel some of the mystery and give you a good idea of where to get started in your shadow integration practice. So when I teach this in my courses, or when I teach this to a client that I have, we always start with a vision for your life. The reason for this is because if you don't have a context, and if your shadow integration practice is not in service of a meaningful goal, you could just get lost looking at your shadow and navel gazing for the rest of your goddamn life and barely accomplishing anything. When you create a vision for your life and you create an identity that matches it, suddenly all of your blocks will come up and you'll know exactly what needs to get looked at first. So what I recommend everybody do is take a little bit of time of your day and really create a vision for your life that is compelling for you. And in order to really exemplify this, I'm going to share with you my favorite quote of all time from Carl Jung. The quote is, "If you follow that which is most alive in you, it will lead you to God, even if it doesn't seem like it." Now, when Carl Jung writes about God, he's writing about the self with the capital S, like the realest, most true and authentic, realist version of you. So the idea here is if you follow that which is most alive in you, the things that excite you the most, the things that create the most genuine excitement, if you follow those things, they will lead you to your most true self, even if they don't seem like it. Now, the most important part of this quote is the last part, the even if it doesn't seem like it. Because when you sit down to create your vision for your life, you are probably going to judge your vision pretty harshly. Because if you actually tell the truth about who you really are and what you really want, it's probably going to be pretty vulnerable. It's probably going to be coming from parts of yourself that you've repressed. Otherwise, you'd already be living a pretty authentic life. So when you start to create this vision, you can trust that you'll probably be judging some of the things that are genuinely alive in you. But if you'd be willing to follow them, even though they seem a little weird, and even though you can't really see how they're going to turn into something valuable, if you're willing to do that, it will eventually lead you to the truest version of yourself. Now, that's essentially why you want to do this, but when it comes to shadow integration, when you get clear on what kind of life you genuinely, truly, and authentically want to live, all the parts of your personality that tell you can't have that, or shouldn't have that, or aren't capable of that, they'll start to speak up. And the ones that are in your face the most, the ones that are causing the most problems, the ones that are right fucking here ready to get looked at, that's where you start with your shadow integration practice. Because again, if you are not looking at things in context of a meaningful vision, you could just get stuck facing your emotions for the rest of your life and never end up with a meaningful life. So always come up with where you want to go and then look at the biggest block to achieving it, and that should be the first thing that you integrate. Now, if you want to make this even stronger, what I recommend doing is also create an identity that matches it. Because your identity is a very important piece of your psychological makeup, and if you can integrate that into the practice, it'll make it much more powerful. So what you want to do is create your vision for your life, make it real. And what I suggest people is turn it all the way up. Make it fucking ridiculous. Make it absurd. Because the idea isn't to come up with a plan. The idea is just to get a sense of what kind of life you might want to live, and then get a sense for the different parts of your personality that'll try and sabotage that plan. And once you know where you want to go, and all the parts of yourself that might get in the way of you getting there, boom. Integrate those, and you'll be well on your way. So that's where I recommend starting with your shadow integration practice. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've said up until this point. I'd be happy to clarify and make sure that all of this makes perfect sense so that you can really utilize this in your everyday life. Again, I'm Chris Orozco. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. You're going to have a lot more coming your way from me, covering everything you need to know about shadow integration. I'll see you guys in the next one.